All right. Welcome to the Rise Up podcast. My name is Jonah Mitchell. I am your host. And on this show, I help simplify weight loss for chronic dieters without losing their sanity. And really, I really want you to rise up to your potential and take back control of your life, so that you can really feel like yourself again and remove restriction, remove frustration, so that you can really just live a happy life of health, a happy, healthy life with food freedom and all the fun stuff that goes into it. And I am very excited to do this bit of a holiday episode. I don't think I have done one in a while. I've been podcasting for almost 2 years at this point. We've gone through a few season changes of what I used to talk about, but I think this one's very exciting for me. So if you enjoy this podcast, if you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching in my Facebook group, let me know down below. Say hello. If you're watching this on one of the podcast apps, I would greatly appreciate if you learn something. Just share the episode with somebody. Tag me in it, please. I love to. It always makes me happy that one of my episodes gets to help you even in a small way. And I would love to be able to help move the needle forward for you. And really, this episode is made to make the holidays easier for you and less stressful, right? These 8 tips are not going to be around restricting yourself and making your life a lot harder. Like, my whole goal is to help make your life a lot easier, and understanding yourself, your mind, your relationship with your food, how to set boundaries, appropriate boundaries for you, how to work through social interactions. That's what these tips are really going to be all about. It's not just like, don't touch this, don't touch that, right? This is not the fucking game. That's not the name of the game here, is where we just demonize and avoid foods. I'm going to be eating a lot of pie. Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. I had the dirty C word last year, so I couldn't taste anything, so that sucked. That was literally depressing. But we're not doing that shit again this year. We're gonna enjoy Thanksgiving, and just as I want you to enjoy Thanksgiving as well, and to know your how you can come out on top. So, and not only Thanksgiving, but Friendsgiving, Christmas, and everything else that goes into it, right? There's a lot of things that can be encapsulating during the holiday season. So that's really what this whole episode is going to be about, is the holiday season and how to make sure that this tough time maintains or really how to ensure that holidays stay that way and they don't turn into hollow weeks or hollow months. I like saying that a lot. So, all right, let's start rolling down the list. All right, we're going to start with number 1. And any tough situation in general, be it traveling, be it vacation, or whatever's going on that like puts us in a place where we don't always control our food that much. I always talk, when I'm talking to somebody who's in this scenario, I always start by, let's get prepared. Right? Being prepared for the scenario is very, very important, right? We have to accept that we cannot control everything. We have to accept that we are not going to be able to be perfect, right? Perfection is not the goal either. In our head, we have to eat everything to a T all the time, but in reality, no, you just have to understand and accept the circumstances that you can only control what you can control, right? Social events can be very, very difficult. Let alone the interact, not only the interactions, but also the perceived judgment that may be going into these processes. And if we just accept and acknowledge them for where that they're going to happen, and we're not going to be surprised and just say, well, fuck it, I'm here anyway, I'm gonna throw it down the hill. We're already doing a lot for ourselves to just make it a little bit more, make our journey, make our process a little bit more what's the word I'm thinking here? Just more in control, right? Just give us that little bit more of control of what we can control, and understand that we're not going to be able to control how people respond or react to our choices and our decisions, but we get to make these choices, right? So when we start practicing and being prepared for the social events, it's not going to be like coming out of left field, like, holy crap, I wasn't ready for people to look at me funny when I said no to the second serving, right? That's again, when we're prepared for these things, and I mean, being prepared is going to be different per family, per person. My family circle is not always, holidays haven't always been super fun. So I have to get prepared for that. I have to be ready for that, and accept that, and know that, like, hey, it's a short period of time. It's not going to last. Right. So for you specifically, being prepared for whatever that you've experienced in the past, being prepared and acknowledging, being prepared to accept, being prepared and being able to accept that you're not going to be able to control everything is step 1. Is really, really, okay, cool. I'm not going to be perfect. It's okay. There's going to be certain scenarios that are going to be slightly uncomfortable, but now I'm acknowledging those things. I'm going to empower myself to understand how to slow down and what decisions are really going to align with what I want, and not just to appease the people around me and feel frustrated with myself later. Right. So first off, we're just going to get prepared for what you're going to run into, who you're going to run into, and the scenarios that are going to come up that inevitably make it difficult for us to always make the most beneficial choice for us truly deep down. Right. Sometimes saying yes to pie is a win. Sometimes saying no to pie is a win. Right. But it has to come down to you and what's going on up here in your mental state. All right. So now I want to start there, because just being prepared, being aware is very, very important. Right. Because then we can move on to step 2. So let's start thinking ahead. Think before you act is such a normal piece of common knowledge, right? Common sense. Think before you act. Think before you say things. A lot of us don't do that. I know I don't do that. And even though we may be thinking a lot about these certain scenarios, there's a lot of emotions that go into holidays and eating in general. Excuse me. We don't often think about how we want to feel. Right. We're thinking ahead. We're worried. We're stressed about the scenarios, right? We're thinking ahead of those things. Like, I'm already stressed out about it. Like, what plans do I need to make? Like, but let's zoom a little bit further past these times, right? How do you want to feel the day after the holiday? Do you want to feel hungover, super bloated, and sick? Like, do you want to be beating yourself up? Do you want to feel frustrated and annoyed with yourself? Probably not. Right. And this was really cool, because I was talking to one of my clients yesterday who just recently signed on with me. She was having a hard time just getting moving. Right. And all I asked her was like, okay, how will you feel if nothing changes? Right. She said, well, I'll probably be disappointed in myself. I was like, okay, how do you want to feel then? Well, I want to feel accomplished, that I did something for my health. So great. So you said something is more important than nothing. Right. So if something can be anything, right? What's one little thing that you can do to help you feel a little bit more accomplished? And just because we talked about that and helped her focus on what she wanted to feel, she increased the likelihood of her taking some small action. And she took her, like, we have a goal for at least 5 minutes, right? And she went above and beyond and did like 10 or 15 minutes, because we just slowed down and saw, how do you want to actually feel, right? So we're thinking a little bit further ahead. How do we want to feel? Do we want to walk away from a social event feeling accomplished, that we enjoyed ourselves and we weren't super stressed out? We didn't go overboard and disappoint ourselves, or overindulge and beat ourselves up, right? We really want to identify that, okay, you know what? I know this is a hard time of the year, and I acknowledge that, but I really just want to feel like I'm okay, like I sustained my weight loss, or I managed my weight, I made the best choices I could, and I don't feel super groggy, right? I don't feel like sick. I don't feel annoyed with myself, right? Those are super huge, because when you identify how you want to feel, the decisions that are tough to make become a little bit more pronounced, right? Because when we're in these social events, and it's very hard to make these decisions, and we could be around people who aren't necessarily caring about their health and weight loss goals, right? And they look at you, and you make a decision that could threaten their status quo, right? They're going to probably say something that's going to feel uncomfortable, and it's going to make you feel insecure. It's like, oh my God, maybe I should just eat the pie, right? When in reality, it's like, hold on, I acknowledge that this is probably going to happen. Right. And I know that I want to feel like I accomplished something. And, if I don't want to fall into the trap of like being egged on into eating something, I know that I want to say no to certain things when I genuinely don't want to, right? Because then there's nothing more frustrating that, we set a goal, and then the social environment gets really difficult for you to stick with it. And then you completely throw it out the window. And then the next day you're beating yourself up for it, right? That you shouldn't have to beat yourself up for it, right? I want you to understand. I want you to enjoy Thanksgiving. I really, really do. I don't want to put rules around your food. I want you to just be making the decisions that align with you. Right. So think of it like this. When we're thinking ahead, right? And especially for a scenario where like a family member or a friend, you say no to an extra glass of wine or an extra serving, right? And then they, egg you on. They're like, oh, come on, it's a holiday, enjoy yourself, right? And again, we are doing our best to enjoy ourselves on these holidays. However, when it gets to the pack of like where we make these decisions and then we beat ourselves up for it, like we don't want to be there, right? We acknowledge that's not what we want to feel. We want to feel like we made the best decisions we could, we control what we could, and we feel the best we can during the scenario, right? So in this time where we're having this conversation with friend or family member who's saying, "Come on, live a little, enjoy the holiday." It's like, okay, you have two choices. You either give in and give into their begging, they're egging on, right? And you eat the food, you drink the alcohol, and great, done, over. That immediate stress, that immediate discomfort is gone. However, now you did something, now you went against what you actually wanted, right? So now you're thinking about, I shouldn't have drank that, I shouldn't have ate that for the rest of the night, right? Now and then that could spiral on, well, I already did it, so now I'm just going to eat whatever the hell I want, I'm going to drink whatever the hell I want for the rest of the night, right? Then you wake up and you're super bloated and you just feel really uncomfortable, you feel puffy, you feel like you gained 10 pounds the next day, and now you're like, wow, I really messed up and lost all my progress. And now you're thinking about that feeling for like 2 or 3 days afterwards because of that one choice that we made when we were being egged on to enjoy ourselves, right? Are we really enjoying ourselves when we start beating ourselves up afterwards? No, right? It sucks. So now let's look at the other scenario. Let's look, okay, great. Now we're back in the scenario and we didn't say yes. We did not allow them to egg us into eating more, right? I don't know if I'm saying the right word there. Egg us on. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. So anyway, the second one is we say no. We stick to our plan. We stick to how we want to feel because we slowed down. We identified, right? We put in the top of mind awareness because if we let it live in the back of our head, the back of our mind, it's not as pronounced. It's not as easy for it to come up and say, hey, this doesn't actually align with your goals, right? But now because we acknowledge how we want to feel, and this is uncomfortable, the insecurity and the discomfort of saying no to somebody, a friend or a family member, it's like, you know what? I'm genuinely okay. I really don't want it. I appreciate you offering, coming from a place of kindness, right? We're not coming at them because we're angry at them. We're saying, no, like this, just like, I'm okay. Like I'm genuinely okay. Right. That discomfort, right? That's going to be very uncomfortable to say no in that scenario because a lot of people will eventually or inevitably say yes. Right. And they go down that path. But that small discomfort is only going to last for that time. Right? For that, however long, 15 minutes to an hour, right? But you stuck to your guns, you stuck to how you wanted to feel, and then you stop thinking about it, right? It's over. It's done with. You don't beat yourself up for the rest of the night, right? You're more likely to stick with your goal for the rest of the night. You didn't overindulge and feel super bloated or super hungover the next day. So now you're not beating yourself up for 2 to 3 days after the fact, right? This is what I want you to think about because like the whole process, the biggest issue with a lot of with gaining weight during the holidays is we find it very hard to just stick with our goals because we're around a lot of people who aren't as self-conscious or focused on their health and their fitness, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, right? But maybe they are, and maybe they are just coping by just like not caring and like helping, and then getting other people to follow into their own behavior so they don't feel alone, right? Not throwing shade, but this is just how we feel. This is just how we operate, right? And all I want you to do is be able to. I'm beating this one I'm beating this one really hard because I need you to understand. Like this is, if you can understand this, you're setting yourself for so much more success. So then the rest of these are just going to amplify moving forward, right? So if you can just take the decision that lasts the least amount of discomfort for the least amount of, or the least amount of discomfort, the discomfort with the least amount of duration is really, really important, right? So we have one decision that either lasts 3 days, or we have one decision that lasts like 15 minutes to an hour, right? And you do that, you accomplish something, and you step into that version of you that you want to be, the one who can say yes and say no when they want to. Right? Not just because it's convenient, not just because it's going to make other people more comfortable, but because you want to. Right? I'm going to say yes to pie. I'm going to say no to alcohol because that's just worked well for me, right? I don't function very well with alcohol. I don't like feeling hungover. It really sucks, right? I just don't enjoy it, but I will eat the fuck out of pie, right? I really love pie, and that's my boundary. That's my indulgent. That's where I'm going to choose, right? And that kind of, I guess, did I have this one written down? No, I guess like this is going to be a bonus tip kind of to this. So you're getting the special 8.5 tips, right? Understand your indulgences, understand your boundaries. What do you want to enjoy and what don't you want to enjoy? Right. Like I had another client who, they go out to his family goes out to sushi weekly. He's not a fan of sushi. It's a time to have fun with his family. And he's like, I'm just gonna eat the sushi. I'm gonna go not overindulge, but I'm going to indulge in the sushi. And he's like, I don't really like sushi all that much. I'm like, great. So how do you want to spend your time? Where do you want to spend your indulgence? He's like, I like pancakes. I'm like, dude. But then his wife made pancakes the next day. He's like, well, I had so much last night. I don't want to eat the pancakes the next day. It's like, great. So you indulge in the area that really doesn't like genuinely bring you that much joy, and you say no to the thing that does bring you joy. And not to say that the family event doesn't bring joy, like that brings joy, but the food involved in that did not bring that much joy. And that scenario, it's like, okay, well, now we just know modify your execution. Maybe not like indulge in sushi, because sushi, you're not that much of a fan of sushi, and then save your indulgent for your pancakes with your wife and your family the next morning. Boom, awesome, problem solved, win-win. You still get to enjoy that time with your family and you get your damn pancakes, right? So this also applies here, right? Pick what you genuinely like about the holidays and say, that's mine, right? That's what I will own, that this is my favorite thing. Pecan pie. I love pecan pie, right? And make that be your thing, and let that be like, oh, if I want a little bit more pie than normal, that's okay. That's mine, right? And then you get to say no in the other areas because they genuinely don't give you all that much gratification, right? Again, these first two are helping you understand the relationship you have going on in your head. All right, I'm beating this one to dead, and I don't want this to be an hour-long video or recording. So I'm going to move on. I hope that makes sense. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out, and I'm happy to clarify. So this is all a precursor to something later. So that's the mental side of things. All right. That's the mental thing, the mental things that are going to help you, like, okay, be prepared and think ahead. How do you want to feel? And then ultimately own what you love, and then leave the rest. Learn where to say no for the rest. Right. And again, and this is going to help you again regain control and that mental side, so that we're prepared for the emotional aspect that can really help or hamstring our efforts, right? So now let's move into the actual strategies to help you and learn how to eat, prioritize while you're experiencing the holidays, right? So my favorite thing, it's super easy. It's a super easy win. Again, when it comes to the food side, prioritize protein, prioritize color. That is like the only like rule. I use that with air quotes. Really, it's a guideline. It's more of a guideline, right? Control what you can control. If you prioritize protein, you prioritize color, you're prioritizing the foods that are going to help you feel satisfied quicker, right? So you're going to stack the deck in your favor, so that you're less likely to overindulge in foods that are much easier to overconsume. Snacks, a lot of sides, desserts, whatever it is, that are very easy to pack a bunch of calories inside of and overeat on them. And then, we feel we don't feel so great after we eat those foods. But when it comes to the food, like prioritize the protein, prioritize the veggie, and then we're actually eating the foods that are going to send the signal to your brain that, hey, I'm satisfied. I genuinely don't want more food anymore, right? So we don't have to get to the point of feeling superly overstuffed before we stop. It's like, no, like if we prioritize the most satiating foods first, we're already giving ourselves that reminder, like, hey, we're satisfied. Chill out. You're good. You don't need to eat. You don't want to eat because you're full. Right? Not to say that you can't eat afterwards if you want to, but now this is you're giving yourself a little goal, a little guideline, like, okay, if I hit this, I win, right? We just want to come out of this feeling better. That's it, right? We want to feel good at the end of the holidays, at the end of the day that we struggle with. So when we have this little guideline, this goal, and we stick with it, great, we did the thing. Right, we did it. We stuck to our guns, and we got to enjoy the holidays without the anxiety and the stress that usually goes into it. Right. And here's another little another bonus one when it comes to prioritizing protein and vegetables. When you have your plate, you prioritize your protein and your colors, eat the protein first, then eat the vegetables. Like, don't mix them all. Don't mix them all in the beginning. Just focus on finishing those food groups first, then get to your sides, get to your mashed potatoes, get to your stuffing, get to your yams. Oh man, yams are another thing that I own. Oh, I'm gonna eat so many yams. But yeah, again, that signal is slowing down your eating, and again, allowing you to send the signal loudly that you're going to be satisfied quicker and less likely to want to keep eating and overindulge and then beat yourself up afterwards, right? We're helping support your body by utilizing the structure that we can create, so that you can know how you feel and how you want to feel, and the decision becomes easier for you to continue to execute and practice on this. All right. This one kind of goes hand in hand with this one. So the next one is put your fork down between bites. All right. This one is really easy. I struggle with holidays. I really do, because they were such a tough time in my life growing up. It wasn't always fun. It was not always a great time. So I've worked really hard to really understand where do you find a joy in the holidays? And honestly, like, the food is so much fun, but being able to mess with my siblings and get to connect with my grandparents, and really talk to them has been something that I genuinely enjoy more. Even though I love Thanksgiving, I love the food, being able to slow down and enjoy that meal with them at a rate that is not just scarfing everything down, is way more satisfying to me. I think a lot of people would agree. I'm continuing to learn how to enjoy the holidays. But yeah, the point of putting your fork down is to allow yourself to chew your food slower, and so that you can, when you swallow it and it's in your stomach, you're not just putting more food in there than really that your body is asking for or is necessary at the time, right? Because when we overeat, it slows down digestion and is uncomfortable, right? We've all been there. We've all been in those food comas. And when we take the time to, again, put your fork down, you're prioritizing protein, prioritizing veggies, and you're chewing your food, it takes about 15 to 20 minutes. Or I'm sorry, I should probably say more like 10 to 20 minutes for the full signal for the satiating hormone to get to your brain and say, hey, we're full, we're satisfied, we don't need more food. So when we slow ourselves down by putting our fork down, spending time talking, interacting, sharing stories, or just generally just trying to connect, again, you're slowing yourself down and putting the scale in your favor, or tipping the figurative scale in your favor, to help you make the better decisions, because you're more aligned with how you feel, how you want to feel, what your brain and your gut are telling you, so that you can pay attention to these aspects. All right. So now this next one's gonna revolve around alcohol, right? Alcohol, I'm not a fan of alcohol, not because I'm a health nut, but it just genuinely, like, I'll have maybe one beer, or maybe one cider, but that's about it for me. Mainly because, like, again, I just don't like how I feel on it, right? So if you are someone who loves wine, if you love beer and all these fun things, great, love that, right? Own that about yourself, right? It's very easy to drink calories excessively, right? They're not very satisfying. They're not going to tell your body, like, hey, we don't need too much, we don't need more of this, right? So when it comes to alcohol, it's very easy to overconsume, I guess, again, in a very specific, my goodness, very connected social engagement. There it is, right? So again, having a little boundary for ourselves. This is what I learned in college, when I was drinking a lot, but just pacing yourself between drinks with a glass of water, right? If you just do that, right, you could probably cut the amount of calories you will drink in half, simply by just, like, every glass of wine you have a glass of water, right? At least 8 ounces. That's fine, because again, it's just slowing you down, right? Just slowing you down and allowing you to actually enjoy the stuff that you want to enjoy, right? The wine, the beer, whatever it is, just having that little boundary for yourself. Like, I finish my glass of wine, I might have a glass of water, right? That's great, because now, again, we're avoiding wanting to gain weight throughout this process and keep holidays in their little microcosm, so that they don't become the norm, right? These boundaries, these guidelines are helping you give you control over what you can control, right? So that we don't go overboard and beat ourselves up, right? That's why we cover these in the beginning, so that it's not just, hey, stop doing this to lose weight. It's more like, how do I build control so I make decisions that truly align with what I want to accomplish, so I don't beat myself up for it later, right? And this is it. Have a little rule, right? I'm not telling you to don't drink alcohol, right? Alcohol, if you want alcohol in your day-to-day, that's great. own it. Take that and understand that there are, no matter what we do, there's good and bad consequences, right? Alcohol still has calories. And if we can put our boundary in there and allow us to make a much more aligned decision, right, this will put us in a place of success and keep us on the path to improving our relationship with our food and getting to our weight loss goals. And it's very, very simple, right? All right, what's the next one? So this is going to be more about, so these next couple are going to be more about, space, calories and timing in general. All right. So I'm going to start with this one first. This next one is save your calories. All right. This does not mean you have to go and fast. This does not mean starve yourself for the rest of the day and you just open up the floodgates and you just are starving and you want to eat everything that you can and completely just binge eat at dinner time. It's more along the lines of like, hey, you're probably going to have a big dinner, right? You're probably going to have a big dinner for Thanksgiving, Friendsgiving, whatsoever, right? Let's understand that, acknowledge that, be prepared for that, and leverage the rest of our calories for throughout the rest of the day so that we have more room to work with at the end of the day. I think this one is very, very underrated because this one is can be abused because we think we should just not eat all day so that we can just eat whatever the hell we want. Really, like, we don't want to feel like we don't want to feel starving when we get to dinner. We want to feel like hungry, but normal hunger. And if we have like very nutrient dense snacks throughout the day, small meals, right? And I'm thinking 200-300 calories, which is usually just like a protein and a fruit or a veggie. Very easy, right? For you to get those in and for you to feel satisfied, not starving, so that when you get to dinner, you're like hungry and you're ready to eat, right? And you made the specific choice to have lower calorie, but more nutrient dense foods that are going to help you feel much better throughout the day, prolong the day, so that you have the wiggle room to enjoy your calories at the end of the day, right? No matter what we do, you cannot break the law of thermodynamics. The only way to lose weight is to eat less than you burn. The only way to gain weight is to eat more than you burn, right? So if we understand how to save your calories and plan your day out a little bit more effectively to have the time to indulge in a dinner in a good time with your family, right? We're being strategic. We're planning ahead, and we're doing this for us. We're not doing this to starve ourselves, to deprive ourselves. We're just being strategic at this point, right? So that one's very simple. Small nutrient dense meals through like 2 or 3 of them throughout the day until you get to the dinner, so that you're not like starving and want to scarf everything down. It makes it harder for everything else. It makes it harder for you to stick with the boundaries that we talked about earlier, because you're starving, you're super hungry. So it's like, I don't give a damn what Uncle Jerry or Aunt Tina is saying about my weight right now. I just want to eat, right? Again, this to help give you more structure, more boundaries. All right. So that one's really simple. And again, clarification will come later. But then this one's for afterwards. After you're done with a meal, give yourself about 10 to 15 minutes. It's just relax, just to see how you feel. Right. A lot of times, and I run into this all the time. I always, the second I'm done, my grandmother, she cooks a lot of food. And, after you're done, she's always expecting you to eat more. She's like, well, that was only one plate. Is that all you're going to eat? I'd load up on protein. Like, this has always been something that I am a meat eater through and through. And I did not understand what satiation truly meant, and why it was always hard for me to eat more than like 2 plates of like literally a pile of meat. But anyway, when we give ourselves just time, 10, 15 minutes to relax, let the food sit. Like I said, it takes time for your stomach to get to your brain to say it's satisfied, So if you give yourself that time to kind of relax and see how you feel, it's like, maybe I am full. Maybe I don't need the extra plate, because if we all go and load up on a second plate, some of us may have a hard time not clearing our plate because of how we were raised. So we were taught to finish our plate no matter what, even if it doesn't align with how we feel, we'll force ourselves to finish our food. And again, this is where it comes down the line of like, oh crap, I'm doing something that doesn't really align with my goals, but I'm doing it because I feel like I have to, right? Again, this is I'm hoping you see how all these are connected so that you get to make the choices that will allow you to make the best decisions, right? So just give yourself about 10, 15 minutes. Let your body sit, let your body process and see what's going on. If you're still hungry afterwards, great. Go get an extra meal. Go get another plate. There's no one, I don't want you to sit here and say, I don't want you to eat, right? I want you to eat. I want you to enjoy yourself. I want you to have a good time. And that's the point here. I want you to do it on your terms, right? Your true terms. I don't want you to go through this process and feel like a slave to food or the people or the circumstances that you're in. I want you to have the choices, the autonomy, or create the autonomy to make sure that this process is actually aligned with you and your values, right? So that's the second to last one. All right. So this one, depending on where you live, this one is always great. I do not subscribe to the earn your food philosophy. I fucking hate that shit. Because it does not, like, earn your Saturdays, all that stuff is cool, but again, if we're doing it out of resentment, doing it because we have to, we're doing it not because we genuinely enjoy it, how often do we truly stick with doing things that we hate, right? They may be effective for a short amount of time, but I subscribe to the thought that we are meant to be happy. We are far more likely to thrive when we are in a happier state, with ourselves, with our circumstances. We can survive. We can survive in aspects of discomfort and frustration and anger, right? But it's not how biologically we want to live. They send very, very tough signals to our body, and why coping mechanisms with alcohol, with food can really come into play, right? As our body's subconsciously trying to reduce stress and feel better in any way, shape, or form. So anyway, exercise, just walk after your meal. I think like one of these times, like I used to, I walk with, I haven't been able to get my family to do it, but I feel like a walk after a meal, like with your family, like up and down, like just down the street and back, would be super, super cool, because you get the time to disconnect. And if it's not snowing outside, it might be a good time to just kind of let the food, or let your body just get a second to chill, get some movement in. Walking helps with digestion. Walking helps process the process of breaking down our foods. Shockingly, I can't really explain the science behind it, because it's been a while since I looked at it, but it does. It works. I swear to God, like almost all my clients, I have them try and get, like a 10 to 15 minute walk after their meal, because it just sits better in their stomach. They feel a little bit better, and they increase their movement throughout the day, right? Super, super beneficial. So if you can walk at the end of your meal, right? Walk with your family or walk with yourself. That's fine too. There's nothing wrong with going for a walk by yourself. Again, depending on the neighborhood and what time it is. But, this is all, this is all not because you have to burn off the food, but it's going to help you feel better. Right? Again, giving you a guideline so that, because we acknowledge how we want to feel at the beginning, we just want to feel in control. We want to feel good. We want to feel like we made the best decision we could. That's the best, and that's how we want to come out of the situation. Right? So these were the eight tips to help you not gain weight during the holidays. I don't know if I want to name it that, but that sounds like a mouthful. This is just a precursor to the Food Freedom Holiday Masterclass that I'm going to be hosting this next week. All right. And if you want to be a part of that, I will be posting the registration link in my Facebook group, the Total Mind Body Transformation. And it'll be a place where you get to come on live with me as I do the presentation, where I do a much deeper dive into each of these scenarios, give you the frameworks, give you the suggestions, give you the ideas that will truly apply to you and give you the control that you would like, right? If you want to be a part of that, just come join my Total Mind Body Transformation Facebook group. I'll be talking about that more and more. If you're watching this live on Facebook, or you're watching this, or you're listening to the recording, I hope you're excited for it, because I'm really excited to put it together. I'm having Hannah help me, because she puts together way prettier presentations. It's going to be a lot of fun. So that's going to be coming on next Monday or Tuesday. I just want to do it before we go into. It's probably going to be Monday, so I'm going to be talking about it a lot. I'll have that registration link up and ready to go here soon. And if you can't make it live, I will record it and send it to you, so that you have it personally and you can watch it, listen to it how often you would like, so that you feel more prepared to make it through the holidays with much more, with food freedom, right? That's the goal, is to feel free to enjoy food the way we want to feel free that we can make the decisions that we want, and to feel free that we just we got this. you do have this, and I know you do, and this is why I do what I do, because everyone just needs a little nudge in the right direction, right? Once they know what they're focusing on, once they know what they can pay attention to, it's really simple. It gets really simple after we let go of the rules, restrictions that were given to us that weren't really our own, right? Just need a little understanding. So that's what's going to be coming out. So I look forward to seeing you there. If you like the main announcements are going to be coming from that Till Mind Body Transformation Facebook group. If you want to follow me on my other accounts, my other social media, where I do a lot more short form content, that's going to be on Instagram and TikTok. Both of those are going to be linked in the show notes, and so is my Facebook group. But I really hope that you learned something. I hope you found this valuable. Again, if you learned something, please share this with one person. I hope that I get to help them sometime. And yeah, I'm done ranting. I need to go eat food. So thank you so much for listening. Again, share this with somebody that I hope it will help them. And I will see you on the next one.